And welcome everybody to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the thanks button. And thank you to all for coming tonight. I'll let the room fill up before I do some questions. Steve, you're there. I'm 2 minutes early. You're still there. I'll give you credit for that. And since many people watch on replay, last week we had one of the record crowds. So we'll see what the losing does on all this. But this week, all of donations go to me. we last week we last 2 weeks we've raised close to a couple $100 for the Hurricane Relief Fund at Red Cross. So um, thanks for that. And tonight donations come back to me, so I get paid for my time once in a while. Yeah, Steve, I know how you feel. My dad always felt like that, and I'd rather be early than late. So a lot of times, especially on tours, I'm there early because you never know. Last week I got caught in a traffic situation in DC and got there just 10 minutes early when I should have been there much earlier. You never know in DC. If you plan on being on time, you're going to be late on that. So let the room fill up, and you guys can ask your questions however you wish. On that, we talk an hour for all you newcomers, and you can ask whatever you want about Commanders or anything else around DC. I'm also a tour guide. Hi, Todd. Glad to have you in. And so, all right, let us begin. We'll see. I end up repeating things during the show anyway because most people watch 10, 15 minutes is all. Gregory wants to know the next two must wins. I'm not very good at remembering the schedule. I always know what's next. Next is, well, let's see. I can do this. Hold on. Carolina. And Chicago's next after that, right? And then I think the Giants. That's three I would know. I'm like players. You kind of know who's in front of you, and that's about it. I would say Carolina's a must win because you got to beat bad teams. Chicago's a decent team, I guess. Caleb looks like he's doing something. So we'll see about that. Steve wants to know, has John Allen played his last game for DC? I would say probably. Yeah. I mean, today's news, we'll go down it. Jonathan Allen has a left pectoral tear. And basically, that's like here. And you try pushing on 300-pound men with your chest hurting. I would not recommend that. So John Allen's going to have surgery, and he'll be out for the year. Does he come back next year? I don't know. I mean, they speak nicely of him, but you never know. I would say it's 50-50 probably on that. I would see what the cap is. Or Armstrong has a rib or oblique injury, which are kind of in the same area. And they're still doing imaging on that. We'll know more about him on Wednesday. Jean-Baptiste, the x-rays were negative on his ankle, which is good news. Sometimes you can roll an ankle even more and it hurts. It's not broken, but the ligaments are stretched and it sucks. So we'll see what happens to him on Wednesday. As far as Forbes, Dan Quinn today said that basically he wanted a bigger line and he wanted an extra lineman, and that's why he decided to make Forbes inactive. Well, if you wanted another lineman in a way on the pass rush, why didn't you use Jamin Davis, who was also inactive? So 2 first-rounders left of the Rivera era were both sitting on the inactive list for the game. I think if they were playing well, they wouldn't have worried about that extra lineman because, without that pass rush, they were vulnerable pass defense naturally. And, if Forbes was playing worth his salt, they would have kept him. So, sometimes Quinn says things nicely. Quinn uses nice speech to talk about people. Hopefully he gives my eulogy. He'll say something nice about me one day. So that's up with all. That's really the only news we had out of there today. The traveling aliens in here. Okay, so Washington try and get a corner by deadline. Tell me what their record is at the trade deadline. I think it's week 9, so they could be 6-3 or something like that. The problem now is everybody said trade one of those tackles. Well, you can't do it now because Allen's gone, and you can't just say, well, you have to get rid of Payne too. It just won't happen. Then you're talking Johnny Newton and Fedarian Mathis as your starting inside tackles. I don't think so. So that really compromised them. Draft capital, they don't like to trade it a lot. They like to get it. They don't like to give it. So I don't know that I see them as buyers come the come the trade deadline, which is I don't know, 3 weeks away, something like that. Okay, let's see. Thanks, Brandon. Yep, I'm doing fine. See, Todd, I'm kind of squinting today because this light's a little bit too bright. Todd's doing fine. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Baltimore game, to those of you asking this question, I think Baltimore really showed what the Commanders are, which is one, a pretty good offense that can compete with anybody, and two, a defense that can lose to anybody. Ooh, we've been there before, haven't we? I think they can get into the playoffs, and I don't know. We'll see what Philadelphia does. They're not looking great, as to far as winning the division, but they could get a wild card still. Got to win things like the Carolina game. Can't give up ones like that, trap games like that. So that's the hard truth. I think really Baltimore showed the hard truth, which is getting better, not quite ready for the big boys yet. They gave it a good shot. I don't think anybody walked away from there saying, wow, we got our doors blown off like last year would have been or something. They played Baltimore late last season. They would have lost 30-0. So making space. As I wrote, I have a video out about it, I think in the morning. My very first year of covering sports was 1978. And I covered high schools, and a brand new coach, old guy, came to this high school. He'd never been very good, but he had two really good players. And everybody expected them to maybe win the state championship. And he told me then, and it's true today, he said, it's hard to go the first year all the way to the top because players have to learn how to win. When you've had a bad program for a long time, players aren't used to learning how to win these kind of games yet. That's something that's along the way, and it's more of a second year. And true enough, his team lost in the region finals, 2 games away from the title on a dumb call. And I still remember that, 1978. So, you know, that's kind of where they are here, I think, is they just have to this year gets you to next year, and next year hopefully gets you somewhere far. Uh, am I going to the game? Yes, I am, Alexander. For Daryl Green's number, well, I'm there at all home games, but glad to see that Daryl's number is being retired, as it should. Daryl is one of the great Redskins of his team's history. Artists, I wonder when they'll use Jamin Davis next year. I don't think, well, he's not under contract next year. I know you're probably kidding me anyway, but this is the end of his 4-year deal, and they're not going to re-sign him. I don't know if they're going to even keep him at this point. His cap hit wouldn't be a big deal if they decide to let him go. Gregory, we might need another wide receiver deadline. I think they got enough receivers. Yeah, I don't think they go big for somebody, big names. Jeff, thank you so much for kicking in. Do appreciate it. See, be like Jeff. Here's a good guy for you. We lost, but at least we have a legit quarterback now. Right. How many touchdowns, passing yards, and interceptions do you think will end up in the year? Well, I think we'll end up with 4,000 yards, 6 interceptions, and 19 touchdowns. How's that for just throwing numbers up there? It's kind of hard. I'm not good at doing that. I mean, people can do that. I can say any number you want, but yeah, I think you have to really think about it for a minute to be a real number. But I think he can do the 4,000 yard club. As long as everything continues on like they are. Alexander, what do you think about number 28 being retired? I think it's definitely the right thing to do. Daryl played 20 years for this team. One of the great players in the Hall of Fame. To me, numbers retired, got to be a Hall of Famer. That's going to be one of them. They're going to be thinking about who's next. Always, is it Art Monk? Is it Charlie Taylor? Well, both are in the Hall of Fame. I think Charlie Taylor was better than Monk, to be honest. And Charlie Taylor left the NFL as its leading receiver, as did Monk. So Monk's a little more contemporary, so he's a little more popular. He played on championship teams. Taylor didn't. So I would expect Monk to probably be next, but Taylor is very equally deserving. And Jerry Smith, quite frankly, is somebody should be in the Senior Hall of Fame and the Seniors Committee Hall of Fame pick. But let's be honest, Jerry Smith was gay. He's passed away since, but he was a gay player at a time, and no one talked about gay players. And I've talked to players on that team era, and they said we knew it, and the rule was just basically, don't make a big deal of it. And Jerry knew how to keep his lifestyle to himself back when it was not so permissive to be open like today. And I think Jerry Smith should be in the Hall of Fame on there. I think Gary Clark should be in the Hall of Fame if you add his USFL numbers. And this is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not the NFL Hall of Fame. I think he should. Of course, Brian Mitchell should be in, so should Jacoby. And Pat Fisher came up on the list recently. And since our last show, Pat Fisher passed away. And Pat Fisher was like, honestly, 5'7", 150, something like that. I mean, his numbers were, I think they called him 5'9", 170, but there's no police standing at the scale when they make out roster sizes, especially in the old days. Just put whatever number up you wanted. I mean, oh, it's a lie? Nah, yeah, whatever. So I think Pat Fisher was intense. Yes, late pick who played 17 years, I believe, in the league. I like the guy. He was a great guy. He had a lot of fun. I knew him in his older years, but I watched him as a kid. So I think that should happen. So this team's got a lot of players that should be recognized. Nobody so much in the last 20 years. I mean, who's their best players since 2000? Probably Kerrigan. With the sack numbers on there. Do I see Allen and Payne gone next year? Probably Allen. Joel, I don't know about Payne. I don't think you get rid of both. Todd, do you think the Commanders might be interested in Max Crosby? He went out of Vegas. Who shoved his coach? Well, that's not exactly a welcome invitation to hire somebody who's having that kind of problem. This team isn't exactly. They like you to buy into the system, and I'm not saying you can't. Listen, Joe Gibbs had guys that were troublesome guys at times that weren't the highest of characters. You get what you have to. You can draft from Penn State, but you can get guys from the state Penn. So what you got to do, you got to do. But I don't know that I see that one. Antoinette, who will replace Allen? Well, Quinn today said he's going to use a mixture of player depending upon the situations. So certainly, John, Newton's going to get his chance here. There's no doubt. Mathis will get to play a little more. And they're probably going to call somebody up from the practice squad, but he didn't say who yet. Casey, Gary Clark was part of the fun bunch. Yeah, it was part of that. Alexander, do you think Riggins will be next for his number? I thought Riggins' number was already done. You may be right. It is. All right, that's right. I forgot Riggo isn't done on that. Yeah, Riggo's next. He had the greatest single play of this franchise's history, probably when he had that broke away from Don McNeil and that touchdown run that basically sealed the first Super Bowl. That set off this franchise to its success for the next 10 years. James, another guy from Hickory, all right. But just like some of my family, who knows? We may be family. Hickory's not that big a place. We might be cousins. I'm very confident about the Panthers game. I would say so. The Bears, I agree. Bears is one of those 50-50 kind of games on there. Alexander, I think the best player since 2000 was probably Trent Williams. Oh, that's true. I forgot. Trent's played how many years here? 10, if that. But then again, Trent got suspended by the league several times for something now that probably won't get you suspended. He had a holdout, kind of had an ugly thing going on with the team. I'm not saying he was right or wrong on that because he certainly had some. He had right was more on his side, I would say. I kind of hate watching him lead San Francisco out of the locker room and leading that whole thing, and you think, I should have been here. Curtis, miss seeing you in the parking lot with my friends that fly in. Yeah, Curtis, I was looking for you guys the last game, and I didn't see you. I was there a little later than usual. I wondered if you were around. So if you're in the same spot, okay. That's weird because I parked my car a little differently. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit too aside of you instead of coming right through you. But I'll see. Next game's 4:00 game. I probably won't see you. I don't know why they're playing Carolina at 4:00. I looked at the games at 1:00 today. I don't see why in the world they're at the 4:00 game. It's not like the nation's crying out for this game. It should have been the Baltimore game at night, but CBS blocked that. That's why it didn't happen. 4:00 game. So I won't see you. This one probably be dark, but maybe the next one. Let's see. Brandon, Boston needs secondary help badly. Yeah, but it's hard to get it now. I mean, you got to dance with who you have. There's not three great, corners and safeties sitting out there going, Well, I wonder if we'll get to play this season. I mean, you've got scraps at this point left out there. Um, let's see, 70 chip. Yep. Okay. Dixon, Joe Gibbs needs a statue. I would agree with that. If they ever start getting back into the statue business, which I think they will in the next stadium, certainly Joe would be the coach. Although, Ray Flaherty, which nobody remembers, but Ray Flaherty was the coach in the 30s and 40s when they won 2 titles, had a better winning percentage than Joe, had to deal with a lot of craziness around the franchise, just more so than Joe. I'm not saying he was a better coach, but his results were pretty good. I actually got to talk to Ray Flaherty one time before he passed away, I think in 93 or 94, somewhere in there. He left the team to go join the Navy as part of World War II. He was a young guy, and he was actually a very good player too. That's the wild part. I didn't know that for a while. Do I think Josh Harris will be big buyers in free agency, Gregory? Nope. I don't see it. I think they kind of stand as they are. Dixon, Trent made 8 consecutive Pro Bowls. I mean, So yeah, Trent over Ryan. I would definitely say that. Now that I think about it, I'm not good at just keeping all this in my head. At this point in my life, I don't care. Rushing yards, yeah, Mike. Washington was badly outrun, but kind of knew that was going to happen with no B. Rob, and of course Baltimore has an excellent rushing game, so yeah, it happens. Chris Hamburger needs his number retired. Alexander, yeah. Problem is, at some point, I think you can only go like 6'8", getting your numbers retired, and then you got to stop. I mean, they need numbers now with these 70-man units out there. It's hard. And I wouldn't do it cavalierly. Now, Chris Hamburger is in the Hall of Fame and was a great player and a mean guy, still alive. A few times I talked to him. He talked to me, but he didn't really want to. I had to be my winning personality to get that to happen on there. All right. While we're waiting, I caught up to you guys. Hopefully the chat box is not messed up like last time. So let's see. What can I pitch while I'm sitting there waiting for you? Oh, okay. Presidential election's coming up in a few weeks. I know who's going to win. I have a vote like everybody else does, but who wins, I don't know. But if you'd like to know who can drink the most presidential pours, just go to my website and monumentalthoughts.com, and you can order your copy, $15. So it'll tell you how to order it. It has all the presidents and what they drank. God knows if anybody needs a drink, it's a president. All right. Let's see. Josh, we need to go big in free agency. Well, you want to spend all your draft capital? Why don't we just give away next year's top 5 picks and we'll go for now. Now, this team has always been about building over several years, and they've had good initial success, and that's great, but they're not going to do it all right now. I don't think so. Now they're 7-2 at the break at that. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you could try and trade Driscoll for somebody who's lost their quarterback and needs a quarterback. Maybe you can do that. I know you'd say Mariota, but I think they trade Driscoll before Mariota. But then again, what does somebody want? What is my quarterback grade for Jaden? DC Dave. For those of you who don't know, on Twitter and here on YouTube, I post my flash grades right after the game, like a minute after. They're not always the perfect because, hey, I haven't watched the all 22 or anything, but I gave him a B plus on that. And they're my grades, and about 75,000 people look at them. I'm the only guy that's done them. I've done grades since I was at the Washington Times in 1995. So I know something what I'm doing. It doesn't mean my grades are perfect because they're flash grades of, and then somebody will go, oh, what about that? And I'll think, well, yeah, I could have changed it a little bit off of that. It's trying to do things in an instant. And sometimes you screw it up. Let's see. Antoinette, was Kingsbury worried about having JD5 running on Baltimore? Well, I think they're always worried about it, Antoinette, but I don't think that was one of the problems of the day. I mean, the offense did enough. I mean, if they hadn't had that weird missed field goal, they would have had 26 points. I mean, that's enough to win most weeks. Steven, let's see. What's my thoughts on the idea of if Ryan drafted well, like choosing Olave and Gonzalez, we wouldn't have Daniels. That's probably true. Because they would have been better than somebody else. There were several teams that wanted Daniels, But everybody knew the draft was Chicago's taking Caleb, right? And Washington's got their choice, and they wanted Daniels. So a lot of people wanted him, but Washington wasn't giving up. You don't give up a franchise quarterback, for anything, for anything. So you may give everything you have to get one, but if they have one, they weren't giving it away for anything. So everybody knew it had to move on. I mean, if they were willing to trade, the Giants would have made a deal, but you're not trading him in division. That's definitely crazy. There were several others that really looked at him. So Washington got lucky that they were in the right position to get him. Traveling alien, why did they get rid of Sam Hartman? Well, they had to move him back to the practice squad. He's the fourth quarterback, and when Mariota came back online, after that first 4 games on the IR or 5 games on the IR, they had to move him off the roster spot. So he's getting paid, not as much, but he's still around. Dixon, we do not need to be buyers this deadline. The upcoming draft is stacked with talent. Okay, there you go. So I kind of more or less agree with that. But like I said, they're 7-2. Maybe I change my mind then. I think you have to just stay ready. I'm sure that's what Adam Peters is doing, is staying ready and seeing what he can get. But he's been pretty calculating and done a good job so far. Let's see, Larry. We have to give the Commanders time to add the right players. True, man. Listen, they've already done great. Already matched last year's win total. So I think this team's going to need another year or two after this year to really get everything lined up if it goes well. Let's see, traveling alien. With the practice squad. Yep. Okay. We'd like to see Luke McCaffrey get more looks, says Mike. I agree with you there. I think Luke McCaffrey is going to be a very good player for this team. I like it. A lot of times, if you look, he's blocking downfield very well. Does a lot of those. So that's a big deal, too. A lot of receivers won't do that very well. They don't want to do the dirty work. They want to catch the ball. But McCaffrey's, got an NFL father and brother. He knows how to sacrifice for team good. 70 chip. There you go. We got the right quarterback in GM. Peters will fill in the holes in the next year or two. I agree. Braden, my World Series prediction. Part of me would I've always liked the Dodgers, so I'd like to see the Dodgers get in. But then on the other hand, you kind of like to see a New York one on there. And if that happened, I would, much as I hate to say it, I'd probably root for the Yanks. But mostly I would just be watching the games. At this point, I just kind of watch the games and enjoy them, since I don't have any dogs in the fight. I kind of liked Philadelphia getting knocked out. Yes, that was fun. The Mets, I don't worry about as much, but at this point, it's house money. I just watch the games. I like baseball. Larry, bring Hill back. I don't know where Casey is at this point. I think he's on a roster somewhere, though. Slam and jamming. Yeah, when he talked about had all these great interior linemen, you got extra, you're playing with house money, you got rid of a couple, and then boom, injuries come along. Oh, never fails. Slam and jamming. The Panthers game is very important. I agree. Last thing this team needs is a letdown, a tough loss. Yeah, I think they'll beat Carolina handily. I haven't done a score yet, but I think they're 7.5-point favorites. I think they'll cover. And they went over again this week. They've gone over, I think, every game on the over-unders this season. Just the odds makers didn't count on them scoring so much. So I'm staying on the over until they finally lose one. I think they've won 5 or 6 in a row that way. Dixon, last question. Oh, Dixon, you're wearing me out and then leaving? Jeez. Thoughts on the Capital season? I have no real opinion on that, unfortunately. So if you have another question, go ahead. Gregory, do you think they replaced Ashburn Head Q before building a new stadium? Yeah, that's kind of the plan, because you can do that much faster. That's the plan, but we'll see how it goes. Dodgers got blasted, huh? I know it was 5-0 last I looked, Larry. So I don't know. What was the final score? The Dodgers are hit and miss. They somehow managed to make it in advance, but they're not a great team per se, not invulnerable. Do we have a good chance of taking the NFC East? Asked Teddy. Yeah, I agree. Philly's the only real threat. Dallas and New York are not. And I don't know. We'll see what Philly does. They got lucky and won again this weekend. Brad, do fans underestimate Allen's loss because he's not been stuffed in the stat sheet? I know coaches talk that way. I didn't see as big impact. I haven't seen anybody on the line. Armstrong's had some moments, he's been a decent pickup, but I haven't seen the line play nearly as well as hoped. 6-3 Mets won. Okay. Um, CE thought McNichols would get more touches. I did too, but you know what? You're playing from behind a lot in this game. The inside blocking wasn't there at all. They couldn't crack an egg there. So I think they had to go elsewise. Um, Just Moody, thank you for chipping in. I appreciate it. See, and it brings me up to, let's see, it was 8:23 already. So if you'd like to support the program, a lot of the weeks we raise money for charities. This week we're raising it for Rick because Rick has his own charity called Feed Rick. But I do appreciate it to show that, hey, I don't do commercials for other groups. I could do commercials on my videos, these 2-minute videos and this. I got people out there that would like to advertise because this show is coming up on its 4th anniversary next month and 20 million views. I can't believe that many of you watch me, but I was in a grocery store today again. Somebody said, "Hey, Rick, you got 2 minutes?" I'm like, "You sound like my wife," but okay. Um, but and I'm glad a lot of people told me, "I saw you." Well, you can say hi. I'm not going to bite you. If I have time, I'm glad to talk. But if we all want the show's done well. I just push away on advertising because I would just want it to be between us. There's not a lot of time. Why waste it on ads? But on the other hand, if I wanted to take some money, it'd be nice if people chip in on days like this to make you feel guilty, you know, cheapskates, to throw some money so that way I don't have to do ads because nobody ever throws money in. I will do ads. And well, I mean, Netflix, not Netflix, YouTube has their own little things, but I don't make pennies off those things. So anyway, um, Mike, the Cowboys score helped. Yeah, I wrote a tweet that said if you're feeling bad, go watch the Cowboys game. They were down a lot. They got hammered, and I think 25,000 people saw that tweet. Sam, lots of penalties at crucial moments. Yeah, you know what? I counted 3 of them that I thought the refs screwed Washington. To be honest, especially one of the Benjamin St. Just holds, whatever you know, or the horse collar, whatever you call it. I forget the one in particular. I have to look at my notes, but I thought the refs did a little bit of home refing on this game. And it happens. Sometimes you get those, and sometimes you don't. Well, I didn't get them yesterday. Just Moody. I'm talking about that one on Benjamin St. Just, the pass interference. I thought was BS also. Antoinette, what do you think about the London games, and do you watch them? Not always. Sometimes I'm getting ready. I'm going to the stadium, so I don't get to. I love London. Plan on being there next summer again, next fall, and going to be doing some different things. We'll talk about that in December, but next fall I hope to be somewhere. So I hope to see some London, among other things. And I think it's good, but this whole thing, Goodell tried to placate the London press out there by saying, they were saying, "Do you think you'll play a Super Bowl here?" And he goes, "Well, you never really know." He's just playing with that. Man, I would boycott if they had a London Super Bowl. I would not watch the game out of spite. And what time are they going to play it? They're 6 hours ahead, the East Coast. They're going to play it at midnight there, so everybody can still watch it. And the Super Bowl is a huge economic. I'm not shipping that money overseas. You want that money here. The American fans support the space. I know European fans do too, but that's extra money. No way they should be doing this game abroad. No way. Josh, thank you so much for doing it. Feed the Rick Pit. That's funny. Okay. Todd, I agree, Steve. The officials are a joke. I mean, officials do the best they can a lot of times. I just didn't like the calls. This one. I think they got away with some stuff. And Teddy's right. They got away with a roughing the passer. They get away. It's so selective sometimes what refs do. Let's see. Gregory heard Roger envision 16 international games. Yeah, they're talking about it. If they get 8, I think that will happen. But man, you're going to have to find all these places that can do it. I don't know that they can on that. Okay. So let's see. Brad, I felt firm that if Ben Johnson was hired, there's no way he could have done what the staff DQ did. I agree with that. And a lot of it is DQ's to relationships, and I think part of it was the staff. Guys like Kingsbury said, "There's something special in Washington. I can be in on the ground floor of it. There's room for some real success here with a new owner." I think if Dan Snyder had been picked Dan Quinn, he wouldn't have gotten the same staff. But people saw a fresh beginning in a historic place and a nice place to live. This isn't the end of the earth. So I think that all played into this. And I like Dan Quinn. He's a good, positive guy. Now, so a lot of guys, but you got to win games. So far, so good. Mike, I liked Frankfurt when seeing Country Roads, West Virginia. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Germany's huge on this sport. They love football in Germany. I was impressed how intense that was over there. I covered the game in Osaka, Japan. It's been over 20 years ago now. Flew with the team. Dan Quinn was at that game too. He was on the coaching staff of San Francisco in Osaka. He and I talked about that a few weeks ago, and we were like, "Oh man, we were both there." And there's something happened between Spurrier and Mooch, and I saw it, and he heard about it. Asked when we were talking about it. That was crazy. I think that might be the farthest an NFL team has had to travel. So I've been on the longest road trip ever in the NFL. They were talking about Brazil was 14 hours or something. We did 17 hours to Japan. That was forever. But it was cool. I flew on the team plane and back, and just a few media went. And I was a beat writer back then. Came home, had a heart attack 2 weeks later, and life changed after that. Let's see. Seems like the NFL is abandoning U.S. fans. Well, traveling only. The NFL loves money. They love money. Wherever they got to go to get it, they'll go. I mean, I don't blame them. I used to sell real estate, and I drive all over the place to sell houses every day. Because if there was a check 60 miles from here, there was a check for a few $1,000s for me to sell a house. I got in the car. DC Dave, the quick replay from upstairs seems to have helped some this year. I would agree with that. I think it's gone a little better. Antoinette, I would be surprised if Super Bowl is overseas. You won't be surprised if it is. I also think it'll be pay-per-view. I think it might get to that at some point. Hopefully, I'm dead and buried before that happens, because I'm not paying for it unless it's Washington in there. Then I'll pay for it. But the NFL forgets that the fans and the media helped build this league to where it is today. Ungrateful bastards, to be honest. And they just want your money. I hate, people like Dan Snyder looked at the crowd and came in and thought, I wonder how much money they have in their pocket and can they get more? And teams now don't even take cash. Some places it's all credit cards. And I can tell you why. It's because if you bring, let's say, $150 to the game, and you're drinking beer left and right, and the money cash is gone, you stop drinking. But with a credit card, you can just keep sliding that plastic across, and next statement you go, my God, I drank $200 worth of beer. That's what they're doing. That's it also, they get a better deal. When you bring all that cash to a bank, they just don't cash it for you. They charge you to run through that much cash because it takes them time. And credit cards charge 2 to 3%, depending upon what kind of deal you have. I'm sure the NFL has a good deal at 2%. It's probably cheaper in the end to do that. And then nobody can steal from you either. Sometimes employees are known. There was a parking lot, not at this game, but another venue in town took cash. And the attendants stole like $80,000 in cash. They processed all the credit cards that people paid to park, but they kept all the cash themselves. It's not like 80 grand. So when plastic runs everything, nobody can steal from you. Antoine, Steven, there were some dumb Ravens fan after the game assaulting Commanders. Yeah, I saw that video. And supposedly that guy has been arrested and charged with attempted murder. That's what I saw just like a half hour ago. So I hope he was. He's probably drunk out of his mind. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. That dude seriously went after people and deserves some time in jail to think about it. I've seen fighting at stadiums. I've seen it go all different ways. That's why people shouldn't drink so much at these games. I have asked many people, just at FedEx, for instance, what percentage of the crowd do you think is drunk? I mean, really drunk, not buzzed, drunk. And typically the answers come back 1/3. People were pretty consistent about 1/3. How there are not more accidents leaving the game, I don't know, because there's so many people drinking. And I thought, wow, you spent all this money and you're drunk out of your mind and you can't really remember any of it. What? Why? Now, I'm not much of a drinker on alcohol at my age, but nothing good comes out of that. So I hope that guy spends time in jail for a while. Traveling alien, not paying extra. Yeah, I get it. Um, oh, you got Peacock and Amazon. Yeah. I mean, I have several. I sometimes wonder if I'm spending too much money. Greg, I'm ticked at the NFL Amazon only games. I agree. Although I get to see them because I have Prime. But yeah, I agree. When there's a game you can't watch, that happened to me recently. I think it was Peacock or something. You're like, you bastards. Yeah, fans built these sports, and suddenly they just want to take it away from you because they want more money. How much do you need? How much? The NFL's like that. How much money? And colleges are like this now. How much money do you need? Just because you can get it doesn't mean you should. And fans shouldn't be abused like this. Samuel Terry looks great. I agree. I mean, Jaden that throws the ball on target a lot. You don't see very many bad throws by Jaden. But poor Terry, man, he has been nailed. How many times has Terry been nailed this season? I mean, he got hit hard a couple times in this game, and that's partly the quarterback that's doing that bang bang on you. It needs to lead the ball a little more so you don't get nailed. So that's something that receivers will talk about on the side about this or that quarterback, not Jaden, but others. That get them hurt. It really bothers them. Stratus, you feel like only 5% of the fans in FedEx. Okay, that's your vote. I've heard it a lot. The last home game, it was about an 80 to 90% home crowd for once. First time I've seen that in a while. And in the Carolina game, I would expect Commanders fans to rule because who's coming from Carolina to see this team? Same thing with Cleveland. Who was coming there? Yeah, that's part of it. Now, when Pittsburgh comes to Washington, well, we'll see how many fans are there. That's a tough one. Let's see. Traveling alien, they got to charge a premium to pay those quarterbacks 60 million. So why do you have to pay a quarterback 60 million? Well, because he's getting a percentage of it and all. I understand. I understand that. I understand how this works. I'm a capitalist at heart. Get what you can get. But then again, I run this show for free. So, I guess at this age, whatever. That's why I tell you chip in. I'm not trying to suck every dollar out of here and tell you to, go to Bud's Auto Gear for your latest auto needs. I don't bother you with such stuff because I hope that the generosity of people appreciate this. That's why I talk about, basically tipping. Hit that dollar sign at the bottom. That's how it works there. If you're on other social media watching this, you can always come over to and drop a dime in. Anyway, I hate being a whore. Gregory, we have a stupid Amazon game. Yeah, Philly. It's in a few weeks. So I like Thursday games in a way because I have Sunday free. I haven't had a lot of Sundays free in my life. So I take them whenever I can get them. Kind of weird that for the third straight year, they're like off the second week in December. That's just weird. But I like it because I can go do Christmas stuff. But I know it's your fun. It's my job. That's the difference. Um, let's see. Sam, think we can beat the Bears? Yeah. I mean, the Bears are good, but they're not great. So sure. The traveling alien, what do you think is the future of contracts with QB? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You see them making all this money. On the other hand, you see them killing teams. Deshaun Watson is killing Cleveland with that. Aaron Rodgers is killing the Jets with his contract. So I think owners might at some point pull back a little bit from this. Hey, Chris, glad you could come. Going to the Bears game? There you go. So it'll be interesting. I know the TV will go, it's the battle of the first and second picks in the draft. It's Caleb versus Jaden. Problem with that is they don't play on the field together. So just like I hate when people say battle of the beltways with Baltimore and Washington. Yeah, every city's got a beltway. Should we say that every time? They don't intersect. They're still like 30 some miles apart. I heard the announcers talk about it for the Battle of DMV. Are you insane? Baltimore's not part of the DMV. I don't even like that term, but yeah, but that was just stupid. I got to tell you, I like Fox more than CBS announcers. There's no doubt of that. I think Fox is just a better group doing games. Uh, Samuel, all the guaranteed money. Yeah, I mean, listen, owners give it up; they get what they deserve. Let's see, Stratus. The good thing is that cable games and all are broadcast in the home market, right? So if, which for instance, the Amazon game on Thursday will be on local TV too, local markets. They get to keep the game like that. Hustle for more. As Jonathan Allen played his last game here. So as I said earlier, because people come in and out, I don't mind repeating it. John Allen is having surgery soon on a torn pec muscle that puts him out for the year. And I would say I'm less than 50-50 on him returning. I just have a feeling they're going to work something out and he's going to go elsewhere. Mike had turned Romo down. Yeah, Romo's just, he was so good in the beginning. I haven't really had a chance to hear Brady do a game yet. I'm interested how he sounds. I heard it's not great, but listen, this is a hard job and everybody's got to work their way into it. Nobody starts off day one great. Maybe Madden did, but everybody's, these jobs are, you're learning your job while everybody's watching you and giving you a hard time. So it's not easy. Doing this live stuff, you can say something stupid very easily. Happens all the time to me. Let's see. Chris, should we look out for free agent help now that Allen is out? No, they're going to do something. They're going to pull somebody up from the practice squad. Quinn talked about it today. He feels like he has what he needs here already. That said, maybe the GM might have a different opinion on that, but Quinn basically said they weren't going to be looking elsewhere. I mean, it's not like there's a Pro Bowl defensive tackle sitting there going, over here, I'm over here, I'll come play for you. It's not there. So if you got a guy in your system and already understands things, you stay with him. You might sign another one to put it on the practice squad to develop. Todd, I hope the Eagles Commanders game in Philly will be on Philly TV so I can watch the Commanders win. There you go. Live near Delaware South. Okay, been through there many a time. Best thing about Delaware, the tolls, when they opened it up where you could just drive through. I can't tell you how many games I covered up in Philly. And then there's like a 5-mile backup at the toll booths. Oh my God, what a pain in the butt they were. Now they have it where you just go through with your speed pass. That was the greatest when they did that. That's been a few years now. Samuel, Brady's dry as hell. Doesn't surprise me there. He's not used to really talking to the media except, very couched. I didn't know he broke up with the wife. Somebody told me yesterday, and I was like, wow, I can't say I really spend much time paying attention to Brady's home life, but I didn't know that she had dumped him. Traveling aliens, maybe he dumped her. I don't know. Traveling alien, I'd rather listen to Romo than Bob Costas. I don't know. I like Costas. He will. Okay. Any chance we could trade for J.C. Horn from Carolina? Well, there's always a chance, but I don't think so. Don't see trades. I know everybody's always anxious to have the next thing. Got to get the next thing, but I don't think that they're not as looking for that so much. Stratus. So Brady's wants to, Brady's. They say Brady's going to get a part of the Raiders ownership at the next league meeting, which is coming right up soon. But he'll still be doing TV. It's kind of funny. The other team said, "Hey, man, you're letting the owner of another team come in and see our secret stuff." So they're going to limit him some, and maybe TV decides that's not the right way to go. But Brady's such an intoxicating thing to have because he's the greatest player, one of the greatest players of all time. Everybody always wants to have him. They're paying him a lot. Bob. Oh, Bob's late. Oh, it's matter, Bob. You had to work. I'm glad Bob's here. It's old Redskin Park guy. Never give up. Thoughts on Gary Clark, Hall of Fame? Better than Monk? Okay, I want to start a fight here. Gary Clark was better than Art Monk. All right. Art Monk was a great player. So was Gary Clark. And I think Gary, when you really needed it, I think Gary Clark was the tougher receiver on it. And with his USFL couple years, he's around 700, I think 699 catches, if I remember. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he ever will. Got overshadowed a lot too. Samuel, it's sort of like Charles Mann, Dexter Manley too. Charles was a very good player. It's just Dexter was just a notch better, and so he took a lot of limelight away from Charles, and which Charles I know was annoyed by. Um, that's just kind of how things go. Samuel, like teams more likely to be sellers than buyers. I don't know what people were going to buy from this team that they'd be giving up. That'd be interesting. When you got a trade proposal. Chris thinks Monk was better. I mean, it's close. But if you ask me who would I want, I would want Clark. And yeah, EW gets my point about team chemistry on all of this. That's a big thing. This team did well with that. So Bob wants to know if they've moved anybody off the practice squad to take Allen's place. Not yet. We'll probably hear about that on Wednesday. I got about 15 minutes left in the show. And let's see, what do I have here? What does Rick's box of toys have? Oh, here's one. All right. Pull one out of my haystack. Two things. Just preview time. This will be coming back out in the spring. It's an outdoor cookbook, which I did back in 2000. I've regained rights. I'm going to redo the book, and I'll be out in the spring. So, I'm not selling it now, but I just thought it's pretty cool. I used to cook in a steakhouse for years, so I know a lot about cooking too. And I wrote the cookbook. So, all right. And then, of course, there's Commanders Fans book. If you want to get one of those, you can go to my website, monumentalthoughts.com, and it'll tell you how to get it off of PayPal or Venmo. I'll sign it and mail it. $15, signed, sealed, delivered. Can't beat that on there. So I appreciate everybody who orders. So another way of supporting the show, instead of just giving me money, you can buy a book. Do it that way. Christmas is coming, and it's coming quick. It's already the middle of October already. Tomorrow's the 15th. Jeez, time flies by. I used to say when you're a kid, when you get older, time flies by more than a kid. That's true. Vegas Jim. I was just in Vegas. Okay, there's a name I can't say, but played well in the preseason where they bring him back all practice squad. Don't see it yet. Will Forbes be waived before the end of the month? Asked Silent Al. Don't think so. I think they'll just hold on to him for a little bit. Teddy, is caveman cooking on a grill? Yeah, it's on a grill, fire. It's outdoor stuff. It's caveman, fire, gas, charcoal. I'm missing something. Smoker. I have a little bit of everything and some different meats and stuff. I did it as a joke. And damn if a publisher didn't buy it. I'm staying around with John Kime. Kime and I wrote a book together with some others. We did 2 books together. And we're sitting around at night and kind of laughing about, writing books. And we'd had some success early, so we were full of ourselves. And we said, hey, I get ready to cook book. I'm saying, how hard is it? It's a hamburger. Put cheese on it. It's a cheeseburger. It's a bacon cheeseburger. I mean, and so I wrote a proposal to a publisher, and damn if they didn't buy it. Now I had to write it. Only took me a week. It was easy money. I didn't get many easy monies like that very often. So it'll be out in the spring on it. There's a lot of production that goes into it, but it'd be a fun read. It's about caveman and fire. I used to cook over a grill. I worked at a Rustler Steakhouse for 3 years and had a chef certificate. I used to have a gas grill that was about 15 feet wide, and I could feed 200 people an hour and when we were really rocking. Back then, you could get a T-bone on sale. T-bone, baked potato, salad, bread. This is in the late 70s for $1.99. It was usually $4.99. So we had T-bone weeks once in a while, and people just were out the door. So I learned how to cook decent food quick, and I can still do that. I may not wow you with my cooking, but it's on the table in 20 minutes. My wife's always like, how do you do this so fast? I'm like, hey, I used to go, dude. And that's where I met my wife too, was in the restaurant. So, I used to cook for her. So she knew I knew how to cook. So I cook a lot now. on that. Okay, DC Dave, daughter's birthday is 18 tomorrow. Just load your shotgun. That's all I can tell you, man. It's just, I had two daughters. They're both married now with their own kids. But when they were 18, I didn't like any of their boyfriends because I wanted them to think about me if they were going to do something stupid and think, Mr. Snider will kill me. Yes, he will. Any of you got daughters, you know what I'm talking about. Bob, what's the name of the book you wrote with John Kime? Well, there's two of them. There was um, and also Dave Elfin was with us on these. Hail to RFK, which is not available anymore. You can't even find them online. And then America's Rivalry was about the Dallas Washington games. You can't really find that anymore either. I have a few of those. Somebody, we'll talk about Dallas week. Somebody wants to buy one. Uh, let's see. Yeah, EW. I wish we could get a steak dinner. I mean, it wasn't the greatest steaks in the world, but they were decent. And so I used to leave sometimes at the end of those nights, we'd have what we call spoilage, which was a little extra meat we had ready to go to make orders go out quicker. Well, at the end of the night, you taper that back so you didn't, have meat go bad. Well, it didn't go bad. We ate it in the back. We cut those things up in the back and eat them on the 10 o'clock at night. Uh, my dog loved me when I got home because I smelled like steak from cooking all night. York Steakhouse. Yeah, Bob, you're one of the rich guys. But the Rustlers is gone. Yeah, it got bought out as part of a chain. Chris, do you remember? You know who used to own it too? Was Gino Marchetti, the Baltimore Colts. Gino owned Gino's, which was like a McDonald's back in the 70s. And he owned the Rustler Steakhouses too. We actually were together a lot. And Gino's was the first one to do Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's how it all got started. It was part of Gino's menu. So one day, my boss lent some of the workers over next door to Gino's. We had to go work over there. And the guy taught me how to do the 7 herbs and spices. Let's just say it's not as nice as you might think. So I knew about Kentucky Fried Chicken before you did. Let's see. Chris, do you remember years ago when the Redskins put out a cookbook with recipes from players? Nope, don't know that one. 80s? I don't remember that. Just me, you want to buy the Dallas book? Hold on a second. Let me look here. Oh, what do I have? All right, Steve, you lucked out. I have one left. All right. I got one extra to sell, and that's it. There you go, Steve. This cover was done by Terry Crews, who played for the team one season in the late 90s, and he actually airbrushed this whole thing. And now this is the same Terry Crews who does America's Got Talent. Yeah, this is it. I have the original artwork too. I always told Terry, you win a Grammy or an Oscar or something, whatever, I'll sell it online. But all right, Steve, I'll sell it to you. Hang out to the end of the show. We'll talk about it. But it was all the great games of Washington. I wrote this with John Kime and Dave Elfin. Yeah. Is that Daryl? No. All right. Anyway, it was all each side won 10 games in the book. We sold it in Dallas too. Belgrade coming in from Europe. Is that Belgrade as in the city? Geez, what is it there? Like 2 a.m? It's probably later than that. It's probably more like 4. York is gone. That's right, Bob. Yeah, let's see. Ponderosa. Russell's is like a Ponderosa. And Gino's, gosh, I forgot about that. And Mike and Frederick. Yeah, that was Gino Marchetti. Named it after him. And he finally sold it all for big money. And I don't know why we got closed down. I wasn't working there by that point. I spent 3 years there as a teenager in college working. Let's see. DC Dave. Okay, thanks. It's 2:53 in Belgrade. So that's 6 hours ahead of us. What does the future hold, Belgrade? How's the stock market doing there? All right. Yeah, Bob. Okay, we'll see. If I can find. I only have a few left, and just like Hailed RFKs, I have very few left of those. Let me look. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So here was Hail to RFK. This must be a return. It's got a price on it. Man, we sold thousands of these books. There you go. We actually upgraded it from 35 seasons to 36. And not our greatest effort, but it was still a good one, the old days on there. So if you would like a copy of these, $20. But I only have a few. I don't want 20 of you to order it and I can't give it to you. So if you'd like a copy of it, go to my monumentalthoughts.com or actually go to my email, monumentalthoughts@gmail.com. And just tell me you'd like one. And the first couple people that order, I'll tell you how to pay for it. How about that? That way, nobody gets shut out by putting money up front because I don't want that to happen. I just don't have a whole lot of them left. Favorite way to have your steak cooked, Brandon? As long as it's not raw, I don't. I know all of you. If it's not bleeding and walking off the plate, you're not a real man. But whatever. But you know that kind of thing. Digitalized, Teddy. Yeah, people have talked about that. Maybe after this year, I'll have some time to look at some stuff. Do I like Johnny Cash? In my household, country music when I was growing up was a big deal, and Johnny Cash was a big deal to my parents. They were big country music fans because my dad was from the Carolinas. So, um, yeah, Folsom Prison, that was a great album on there. But I'm more of a rock and roll kid from the 70s and 80s. Let's see. Yeah, okay, Steve. We'll get to you. Steve, go to my monumentalthoughts@gmail.com and email me and we'll hook up about all this. Pappy's Pizza had styrofoam hats. I can't say I've ever heard of Pappy's Pizza on there. Nah, not that I can remember. That's a cool name. I used to know a guy named Pappy. He was this old guy in the neighborhood. It was all like he was like Popeye, kind of. And I recently talked to his granddaughter, a friend of mine, and I said, "Yeah, Pappy." We were talking about it, and she goes, "Yeah, Pappy." And I figured out Pappy was like the age I am now. I'm like, "Wait a minute, no, Pappy was like really old." Jeez, I guess I'm really old. Let's keep my Preakness going. Well, I did 33 Preaknesses in a row, and I finally stopped. Actually, I saw a Triple Crown winner, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I loved horse racing, though. If I could go back and cover, start in January, if somebody were to come to me and say, "I'll pay you to cover horse racing," I would be there in a second. In a second, love horse racing. Love the people. EW, am I going to eat crabs one more time for the season ends? I was thinking about this in the last couple of days because crab season technically goes till December 1st in Maryland. And I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if anybody's still got crabs. I need to go one more time. I've only eaten crabs like 3 times this summer. It was a lean year for some reason. I don't know how it got away from me like that. Let's see. How's Dave doing these days, Bob? Doing well. He's getting ready to retire. He's a touch older than me, not much, but so he's looking at retirement. We all are, really. Chris, how do you get time to mingle with fans before games? I try to. I went out of my way. I usually say I'll go to the Hall of Fame store on the concourse. Inside, I had some fans say, "Hey, we want to come meet you." So I went down there, waited 10 minutes, finally texted them, "Where are you?" They're like, "Oh man, we can't make it there. Can you come to us?" No, no. So it's not like I'm making an appearance or anything. I just thought I'd come by and say hi. People catch me in the grocery store a lot. It happened this morning. Where it's like, "Can you add 2 minutes?" Yeah, okay. I had people at training camp always yelling from the crowd, "Hey, Rick, I got 2 minutes." Okay. And first guy yelled back, "You sound like my wife." And then that kind of got the crowd going. But I appreciate that everybody watches this show. It's been more than amazing how many of you have done so. We're coming up on 20 million views when the show hits its 4th anniversary in November. So like a month from now. So I got some changes to do and after this season. We'll talk about them later. I am going to have a new show coming out weekly and starting in January called 52 Questions with God. I'm doing it with the Reverend. A 10-minute show, one question, stuff that they would never talk about at the pulpit. I think my first show is going to be, hey, God. And I've recently been preaching in churches, so I have a little bit of this. I help ministers with their sermons. My first question would be, God, who are you? And don't tell me I am who I am, because that tells me nothing. But you can't get too smart with God, or else I'm going to end down below. So it's a respectful show. And we're going to do it for a year, 52 weeks, one question each week. That's going to be something new I'm doing. With it, we're probably going to bring some other more food to the show. I mean, this commander's grind is going on right now, but when it's over, we're going to do more show, a little more tourism. You guys tend to watch it just as much. So a little bit different things coming, and maybe a little less commanders, but we'll talk about that later. Because I don't want to have to do a long goodbye thing. Do I get to see Gregory? Do you think our stadium is still a dump, like the national media says? Screw the national media. I know most of the guys. They're a bunch of elitist snobs. Is the food the best? No. I mean, it's often said that the press box food is the worst in the league. I look at it this way. I eat free. I don't want to look down on somebody who's feeding me for free. If I don't like it, I can bring my own peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, I'm not, these other guys are just like, where's this, filet mignon section? Hey man, we're just here. I'm just working for a living. Somebody feeds me for free. I think you're ungrateful to criticize it. So that's how I am about things. Have I heard for Nikola Jokic? I've heard of him, sure. Belgrade. Let's see. Bob, as a celebrity at camp, well, I don't know, but people are nice enough to say hi. I'm an old newspaper man. We're not used to people really knowing who we are, from the pictures. But now, since you're looking at this, you know who I am. North Alabama from Brian. I have been to South Alabama. I've never been to North. I hear nice things, except it sounds hotter than the sun. I'm not really for that. Brandon, always appreciate. All right, appreciate you doing that. EW, thank you too. Appreciate it. I am a Christian. You've probably seen me wear my hat with the cross on it at times. So, it's the older you get, the closer to God you become, because you're getting there closer to showing up. Bob, first question to God would be, how can I call you directly? Yeah, that's another one. There's a lot of good questions. There's a lot of good questions. When we start doing the show, people can always send questions. I've got about 40 good ones and a dozen okay. If somebody has a better question, we'll use it. Mike, thank you for chipping in. Do appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be chilly this week. I was thinking about that today, working on my mower. I don't have to cut grass too many more times, thankfully. Antoinette, thank you for coming. Oh, it's 9:00. Oh, okay. Wow, went quicker than ever. All right, Steve, anybody else who you want to do this, we'll do it this way. If you want a copy of the book, $20. Did I say $20 earlier? I don't remember. If you want that one, or you want the presidential pours, whatever, just email me at monumentalthoughts@gmail.com. Let me see. I've got some emails in the thing. Steve's, I see your email here. Okay, Steve, so I got yours. And I'll do as many as I can. I just don't have that many books left. I haven't digitalized them. People have asked me about that, but people don't buy books a lot anymore. So I recently did tours for fans to come on. Hardly anybody did, so whatever. What time is it here? It is 9:02 p.m. in the U.S. Eastern Coast. And do I believe in God? Yes. I've been through enough hell in my life to have the Lord with me. And I have some things coming up soon that I'm going to talk about. And I often say that God takes me where I need to go. And it may not be where I want to go, but it always works out for the best. So I have to trust the Lord and what I have coming up. I'm not sick. Okay. I've been sick at times. I'm not sick now. So that's not it. But I just don't feel like talking about a long goodbye at this point. So we'll talk in December about all that. Anyway, I think we're done because the hour is come and gone, and I want to go watch TV. I usually work from Sunday morning to Monday night pretty straight through. So time to get some sleep. Thank you, Commander, Chaplain, Reverend Rashid. I appreciate it. There you go. So, thank you everybody for coming. Like I said, send monumental thoughts at Gmail. I'll tell you how to order the book directly. I'll sign it for you. And everything else is good. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. We had a pretty good crowd on everything. Hopefully the team, I think to be Carolina next Monday, we'll talk about a win. It would be nice. Thank you, Brandon and EW and Teddy and Todd. I feel like romper room again, saying goodbye to everybody. The last Templar I have seen, Belgrade. So that's it. There you go. End of the show. Sorry if you missed it. If you missed some of the show and you want to watch it, the whole show will be back in just a few minutes on YouTube, and you can see the whole show from start or wherever you want. Most people do. More people watch on replay than watch otherwise. Of course, the videos at 6 a.m. And during the afternoon, whenever news goes, all those kind of things. So we're around. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. So have a good week, and I will see you again soon. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. See you soon.